Hi, this is Dr. Rebecca Wood, and this is our Week 8 lecture. This week is our last week of the term, so we are going to review what we've learned this term and look ahead to the future. And what have we done this term? Some things we've done this term are making decisions, such as finding ways to make time for this course. And I know that sometimes that is not very easy, and sometimes we might not even be successful at it, but hopefully everyone has gotten to this point and is ready for the next step in their academic career. And then also we've made a decision and chosen a course theme, and all of your papers this term have been written under that course theme, and so hopefully that has helped you to be able to find interesting topics to work on your papers. Also, we've done a lot of reading in this class, assignments in our textbooks, information about writing, and of course all the information in our research, which is why I put more reading here. And then we also have learned to document our discoveries carefully, and you'll want to document as you go along, putting your information in your drafts rather than trying to go back and do your documentation later. And we've also done a lot of writing this term, informally on the discussion board forums and formally in our papers. And this book should look familiar to you, and this is my desk, and as you can see, this term has been challenging for all of us. And then the writing process can work for a writing project of any length, and skipping a step can make the project take longer. And now I actually had a situation in my life where I was talking to a class about outlining in order to get a project started, and I was stuck on a project of my own, and I heard myself talking about outlining, and I realized, I hadn't done any outlining in a while. So I wrote a big outline, and it helped me get unstuck. So I recommend doing all of these steps whenever necessary and not skipping them, and sometimes going back to them when you need to. And those steps are brainstorming, outlining, research, and reflection. So you have to find your sources, think about what they mean in relationship to what you think about your topic, and then drafting. And that step can be messy, and that's okay, because you're going to go back and do the steps of revision, which is reading what you have already and adding to it, or taking out things that don't fit, or moving things that need to be moved to a different part of the paper. Editing, which is editing for sense and to make sure everything is logically presented in an order that will be easy for the reader to understand. And then proofreading your work and looking for mistakes. And some mistakes can be very distracting and take away from your message. So you want to catch all the mistakes that you can, but you want to do that at the end of the writing process. And then what are you trying to say? This is very important. What is your main point? If your reader comes away from your essay or a paper or whatever it is you're writing and they don't know what you're trying to say and they don't know what your point was, then you didn't do a very thorough job of explaining what you're trying to tell them or supporting your statement. So it's okay if you need to refine your thesis statement as you write your paper, but you should have at least a draft thesis statement or main point from the beginning of the project. And the most important part of your paper is what you think about your topic. So please don't let your research material take control of your paper and shift you aside. And then review your paper for the logical organization of ideas. Do your ideas flow logically from one paragraph to the next? If you have subtopics, is each one confined to its own part of the paper, except for a mention in the introduction and conclusion possibly, instead of sprawling out of control throughout the paper? If you are writing either a biography or a history paper, is it in chronological order so that the person does not die in the paper and then become head of cardiology, for example, at Harvard Medical School? And then I have said this a lot, and this is one of the major parts of this class, is learning how to document. All of your future professors will expect you to document any material from research in a very careful manner. So check and see, is every single scrap of information, including dates and names, that you borrowed from your research material documented correctly in APA style? Are each of your sources listed in the proper documentation style on your references or works cited list? And those sources would be listed only once each on those lists. And an APA in-text citation looks like this under most circumstances. You have an author's last name, a comma, the year of publication, P dot, which stands for page number, and the page number, and then the period goes after the citation. If there's no author listed, then you would have a shortened version of the article title, and then the year of publication if it's available, and the page number if that's available too. So please don't try to remember all the ways of documentation. You want to use your handbook and or the Purdue OWL and just look them up. That's what I do every time. And then also some more recommendations of document, document, document. Kind of like in real estate, the most important things are location, location, location. And many students decide to keep their English 2005 handbooks. The Little Seagull Handbook can be your companion as you write your future SPS papers. Also, we have a best friend online, the Purdue OWL, and it can help us with our documentation any place that we have access to the internet. And don't worry about documenting too much. I don't think there's any such thing as too much documentation. If your professor is a little concerned that you're documenting too much, if they believe that, that's much better than if you've left out documentation and accidentally plagiarized something. Editing and proofreading. Did you read your document out loud when you were editing and proofreading it, listening as well as looking for mistakes and missing words? Did you catch the mistake in my first section here? Did you fix mistakes and issues that your professor, supervisor, or editor missed or chose not to comment about? Sometimes the same mistake may have been made many times through a document, but only one or two instances of that mistake may have been marked. Double check the basics. Did you make sure your document is at least as long as the assignment called for? Does the document fulfill all of the requirements of the assignment? Does the introduction still match the paper? Are all of the paragraphs about half a page long? Does the conclusion tie up all the loose ends in the paper? Ask yourself these questions, but please don't ask them right before you turn in your paper. Ask them maybe a little while before that happens. And then what's next? Please check your SLU email daily for messages from your instructor. Our class is over at the end of this week, and I wish you the best as you continue your academic and professional career. And if you follow the writing process and document everything borrowed from sources carefully, you should be ready for your next paper assignments. Take care. Bye-bye.